When you think of Pokemon, what's the first thing that pops into your mind? The legendary Pokemon, the starters, the mascots, the games, the anime, the manga, the cards, the plushies? Honestly, all of it for me. When I was working on this video, I took an extra couple of weeks while I was shiny hunting to work on the illustrations for these fusions. I actually caught Neptune, which, as I mentioned in a previous video, was one that was lost to time, where it was one of my first, if not the first, shinies I'd ever gotten back on Soul Silver or Heart Gold. I also got a couple of shinies through trades that I wasn't expecting that surprisingly weren't website names. If you saw my last video, you understand what I'm talking about. And some that I have done in mass outbreaks in different games, such as Legends Arceus or in Sword, where I was just running around and happened to stumble upon them. The legendary Pokemon and starter Pokemon and all of these fun stuff, for the most part, were ones that I was surprised to have on my team. Some of the legendary ones were, again, like trades from years ago, like the number one, like my lucky Pokemon, if I can call it that, is Arceus themselves, because I got it through a random trade from someone and was very happy to see that the name wasn't something like insertwebsite.com. You know, like, there's tons of that nowadays where it brings down that charm of it, but for my Pokemon Dream Team, I wasn't going to include shinies in this case because I wanted to do both regular forms and shiny forms for them, so that way there's that fun little idea that technically I could have an entire shiny team, but I like the idea of having one or two shinies in a group every now and again, so I just had the ideas there. The rules that I set in place for myself, as you can see on screen by the Pokemon that I'm showing off for the 12 that I've chosen, is straightforward. 2 starters, 2 legendaries, and 8 other Pokemon that I combined together, whether you consider them regular Pokemon or pseudo-legendaries or ones that have worked their way up to their own mascot status in some form or another. Some of the choices may seem stereotypical, but these quite literally, out of the 1,025 Pokemon, are my 12 favorite that I wish I could have on my team all the time. But alas, you can only have 6 Pokemon, so what was my solution to this? Let's fuse them together. When it came to actually trying to figure out the size and shape and color of these Pokemon, that's why I wanted to go into Scarlet, which I was grateful that these Pokemon were all in Scarlet. That was one of those things for the challenge that I was worried about when I picked some of these Pokemon, because I wasn't actually sure on some of them if I had them on my team. So when I went through and I tried to catch these Pokemon or brought them forward from previous games that I was able to, I was happy to see that both of my dream teams are available in this game, some of which are champions of this game that I had completed Pokemon Scarlet with and taken them all the way to the legendaries and the DLC for. Now, of course, my team has also slightly changed because, again, my starter Pokemon for this particular game wasn't one of the previous ones like Typhlosion or Samurott, but I was still happy to have them on the team when the DLC arrived and I was able to go find them. Another thing is some of my favorite shiny Pokemon I finally got my hands on thanks to Pokemon Go, of all things. I finally got my hands on my shiny Umbreon and added them to my team. Same thing with having Suicune on my team thanks to the strange, weird, I can't remember what it's called in Sword, the little like dungeon thingy that you do where you go through and you can find legendary Pokemon. I know that you can also go for them in Scarlet if you get the treats with the DLC, I think it is, where you go and you talk to one of the guys and he's like, oh, if you've done this many barbecue or BBQ or whatever it's called. I know it's not barbecue, I'm calling it barbecue because, I mean, come on, BBQ just makes me think of barbecue points quests. Like, some of these Pokemon are harder to obtain than others, but I'm grateful to have them on my team nonetheless. Now, that being said, with the way that these Pokemon in this Pokemon Fusion state are, don't think about any of the previous existing stuff like Pokemon Infinite Fusions and all that. This is a world where I imagine a combination of the anime, the video games, the manga, all of that smushed together. The reality of this Pokemon world is straightforward that yes, Pokemon could indeed pass from old age and all that, and I'll be talking about that in this video a little bit further with some of these Pokemon, because that's why some of them hold a special place in my heart. For me, the games for these starters is what makes these ones stand out to me among all of the starters. Typhlosion will always be my number 1 favorite of all of the starters for the evolutionary lines, because they were my favorite in Pokemon Soul Silver and Heart Gold, and I pretty much, anytime I can, I will happily welcome Typhlosion on my team, which is why I was so grateful in Legends Arceus that they were a choice with their special form. Samurott, on the other hand, was an odd one. Out of all of the other starters, I thought, what would be my second favorite? At first I thought it was going to be the Trico line, but no, surprisingly, it was actually Oshawott line. As silly as it is, both the anime contributed to this, and also my general playthrough of the games when I was just running around, and I didn't expect them to be another 4-legged starter. Maybe that's another reason why Typhlosion, being kind of like a half upright, half on all 4 legs Pokemon, made me think of this pairing. The idea that this Pokemon almost gives off the vibe of, like, as I kind of researched, I think Typhlosion is supposed to be like a gigantic honey badger type of looking creature, and Samurott just gives off, in general, again, mystical vibes. I don't really know what it is about the combination of these two, giving off the idea of how bears can kind of be on 2 legs for a short period of time, but mostly on all 4 legs. That was the vibe I was going for these two, and I know what you're gonna say. Well, fire and water isn't really a plausible combination. Well, I don't care. This is my idea for these Pokemon, and we do have a fire water legendary Pokemon that does exist, so technically yes, it can it can exist. Though I don't go into too much detail on the stats for these Pokemon, their moves, or even their typing, it's slightly obvious. I mean, like, straightforward, whatever their combinations are, sometimes they can even just be two of the same. I wasn't gonna fuss on too many of the details for it, because this was a fun challenge for me of the ideal partner Pokemon that could be, at the end of the day, there for you, like a slice of life anime where you've grown up alongside them. They can help you with lighting firewood, help you go from land to sea, all of that fun stuff. Additionally, they also would be great for teams, so that when you're doing Pokemon gym battles, or going from, like, the cold dead of night trying to evade certain ghost Pokemon to standing up to a legendary Pokemon once you've raised them to a high enough level, that kind of idea was what I had in mind. One of the things that I don't notice a lot of people do actually talk about is after they've completed a Pokemon game. Now, in the older games, there wasn't a need or a reason to explore because, again, the limitations of a 3DS, and even back when the older Pokemon games, even with Sword, the limitations of open world were still there. The fact that now we have Scarlet where you can use the Synchro mode in the DLC to run around as your Pokemon is awesome. It gives me an incentive and a reason to not only play the games again, but also to run around with the Pokemon that I have and raise them to level 100 for a good reason of getting to have fun, just basically doing a sort of my own version of a slice of life with the game and running around. Even if my Pokemon may be over leveled to a degree when it comes to going back to the starter areas, it's just fun to go around, to be able to, almost like with the Pokemon, like when you can take pictures of them, when you can run around almost mystery dungeon style, if you guys remember that games where you can run around as a Pokemon. I know there's not really that story after you've beat them, even like after the story is done and there's like follow-up stuff. To me, I don't feel like that's needed after all that fact if I'm just having fun. It's kind of that creativity that the games like Minecraft and other games that are open world that leave you to your own imaginative devices. That's what it feels like for me when I've completed the Pokemon game in Scarlet, and I just like the idea of it. One of those things that is fun, though, is getting to see the legendary Pokemon. As I run around collecting the treats, now that I've collected enough BBQ points in the DLC, I'm happy to have a second Suicune on my team, because I already had Suicune in Pokemon Sword thanks to the weird Dynamaxing stuff that you could do, and Keldeo is one of those Pokemon that, alas, I couldn't get on my hands without having to go through a multitude of trading back and forth type of stuff, until finally I was able to get my hands on a foreign Keldeo. Though their name isn't in English, I still count them as a Keldeo that is attached to my team that wasn't one from those shady websites. So I was happy to have these two as a strange sort of mystical but silly, because if you know the anime and the movie with Keldeo, Keldeo is a silly but serious character at the end of it, and Suicune is just majestic altogether, and I feel graced by their presence. The next combination was the first where I was trying to decide of the combinations of them was Zoroark and Weavile, and I embraced the upright furry nature of these characters where they were definitely anthropomorphized 100%. Stands on 2 legs and has these gigantic claws, and yes, I did take a little bit of traits from the Legends Arceus different form where they have gigantic extendy arms, but I mean, come on, Zoroark literally has these long, like, arms and claws, and also the long, like, mane-like thing. I had to give the frills and the fur. I mean, come on, it's just majestic. The color combinations was a straightforward switch up, kind of like going from red to blue, kind of like how Gyarados does with the blue to red. I just wanted the idea of it shiny to be straightforward and simple, and keeping that luxurious kind of whitish gray mane that they have. The next combination is one where I mentioned at the earlier part of the video. It has a special place in my heart. Noivern and Luxray. Now, Noivern has been on my team since they have debuted in Pokemon. Like, I adore the strangeness of this bat creature all the time. And the shiny, I'm glad I have a shiny now. Even though it's a Noibat, I don't think I'll evolve it into a Noivern for the shiny. It's just so cute, and I already have Noivern on my team now. Also, Luxray. The anime made me cry. I don't remember if it was from a movie or an anime, but there was a Luxray that looked after a kid when they were explaining the backstory of why their partner Pokemon was so special to them, and the fact that they used the past term of was the fact that I think it was a family Luxray helped this kid through a snowstorm and chose to sacrifice themselves to use whatever remaining body heat they could to block the snow and protect this kid and keep them alive so that they could survive through the cold night. Like, that made me sob so hard. Like, when the anime wants to, it can hit really hard. Same thing with the games. Like, I really thought that Arvin was going to lose his partner Pokemon for the first time in the games where we would actually get to see it, but thankfully we were able to help them with the Herba Mysticas. But like, I mean, come on, this game has had many cases of really dark stories to them, but it's like the reality of these Pokemon worlds is not just simplistic whimsy. Like, your Pokemon could, at any point from old age or accidents, perish. Now, I know that that's more in line with the more darker side to Pokemon, and even in Nuzlocke, which I don't think I'd have the heart to be able to play a Nuzlocke because I get very attached to my Pokemon. One of the things that I enjoy about the strange whimsy of Pokemon is actually with this next combination of Umbreon and Houndoom. I have always had Umbreon on my team, and I also feel bad that I don't exactly enjoy older Pokemon games the same way as I do the newest ones. I will happily play Scarlet over and over again at the moment because, in my opinion, with the DLC, it has been my favorite with the mechanics, the replayability, the Pokemon themselves, animation, color, all of that. It's so fascinating. It has so much replayability. But when I think all the way back to the first time I saw Umbreon, I have had Umbreon on my team almost every single time for the evolutions, and Houndour is one of those other ones when they evolved into Houndoom that just fascinated me. And when seeing them as the technical antagonist Pokemon at the beginning of Scarlet, I didn't realize just how gigantic Houndoom actually is. Like, Houndoom is gigantic. I thought they were just simple and small, like a typical kind of like a wild canine, like a wolf dog creature, but like, they're huge. The idea, additionally, for these Pokemon, for myself as the perfect team of partner Pokemon, was that the amount of trust that you would need to gain over time with these Pokemon, like, these Pokemon would not be on your team unless you built up that patience to be able to be loyal with them, to train with them, because one of those things that I always feel so bad about is when I'm playing the game and I'm basically getting a bunch of experience for them to evolve, and using revives over and over and over and over again just makes me feel so bad for it, but it is part of that struggle with it, where I'd imagine that if these Pokemon could communicate through it, I'd imagine that they would understand to a certain degree. Another thing is that, like, again, just the idea of being able to reward your Pokemon with, like, different treats. I mean, you guys can make curry, sandwiches, Pokepuffs, all of that. I would be spoiling these Pokemon with a healthy amount, of course, because I wouldn't want to overdo it for the Pokemon. But let me know what you guys think about this, and don't worry, I know I'm Pokemoned out at the moment for videos, but I will be putting the names for the combinations of these fusions in the description below, so if you guys want to make some fan art, I'd be happy to feature them in the subscribers gallery in future videos, but this will probably be the last Pokemon related video for this year so that I don't repeat last year's only Undertale videos content. Another thing is, I know that not everybody is going to want to watch only Undertale videos or only Pokemon videos, so there is a wide range of content for you all to see here, so that if you guys are here for one particular thing, it is still there. It's just that it might be spaced out a little bit more, so that I'll have time to be able to show you all of my original content, such as Nexium, The Void, and Stencil Fox's lore, and a bunch of the additional pre-existing content and comics that I have that I want to show off some videos and story times and speed paints for. That's all the time that we have for today. Thank you so very much. If you have not already, don't forget to leave some likes and comments and subscribe to join the Subscribblers squad. In the meantime, don't forget to check out some of my playlists, and if you would like any fan artwork featured at the end of the video in the Subscribblers gallery, tag me in it. I would love to see what you guys make, and if you'd like to support my works and see more, check out my card link below, especially for the patron exclusive rewards. £2 a month, the Fennec Fox tier gets you access to secret sketches and artwork early. The Arctic Foxes, for £5 a month, you get exclusive access to videos and webtoons pages early, and the Red Foxes have the opportunity to be featured as a background character or a commission instead, and your name read out at the end of the videos just like this. Thank you so much to Frankie Jr. 13. Stay Possum Subscribblers, and I'll see you real soon.